I won't see, I'll see
Okay, just so that we explain everything and we know what we're doing as we progress on this course. So the booklets you have are a resource for you that help you during the week to a certain extent as well. But the layout of the course is basically very, very simple. We'll come in here and we'll have a short talk at the beginning. And from that short talk you will go into a period of contemplation, and we'll lead you into that, and then we'll lead you out of that at the end of the period of contemplation, which is usually about 10 to 20 minutes, maybe 15, round about that sort of time frame. And then once we've come out of that, there will be a time of sharing for anything that you wish to share if you wish to. You don't have to. It's not compulsory. Following that, we will move into a Eucharist, which, because of our small number, I suggest we use the chapel over there. And once we've gone over there, we'll just start the Eucharist at the peace, and it will be very casual. I'm not going to overly robe or anything, but that's how it will be. So that will be the pattern for each time you come here. I'm aware that a lot of you have not done a spiritual exercise such as this previously. Is that what I understand correct?
Well, we did do, years ago we did do something where we had to sit and contemplate for a while and everything else.
Okay, so contemplation is not meditation. So it means that meditation means that you're on a focus. Contemplation means that there is not necessarily a focus, but there is a drift and a guide from what you've read from Isaiah or from the scripture or from what you're looking at with the cup. So it's just a slightly less deep way of looking at things. The idea is for you to get a sense of God's presence as you contemplate, and you may not feel it initially, you may feel it over the week and over the weeks to come. In the booklet you will see that there is a what's called a little bit of an introduction for each day, and each day there's a contemplation assist for you that you pick up your cup. So I suggest what you do is maybe allocate this time every day so that it's on the same time at 7 o'clock. That you allocate this time each day, and you take out your cup and you do the exercise for the day. And as you do that, you will gain a little more each time as you walk closer and closer with God. Okay, so that's the purpose, to deepen our exposure to God's presence and open our spirituality up a little bit. Okay, the whole of the book, Joyce Rupp's Cup, is over a period of 6 weeks. So we're not going to go into the depth that the book goes into. It's really, if I was doing leading a retreat or something, I would then probably pick out specific first days of each week as part of that retreat. Unless it was a month-long retreat, you hardly ever get those nowadays. So that's really the understanding behind this. It's just a lesser form of what's in the book. The book is really quite extensive, and unless you're prepared to go into that to that extent, then what I've done is I've just lightened the load a little bit for you. So to start with, we're looking at what's called the Cup of Life. And before we go into that, let's just have a see what your cups are like, mugs are like, cups are like. You see, just to show you, this is my mug, and I'm showing it to our viewers, and there, it's a well-used old mug. It was given to me, I think the kids gave it to me as a birthday present quite some years ago. It's bashed, it's chipped, it's still used on occasion. Okay, so it has fair significance for you. You didn't bring a cup? No. Oh, you naughty girl.
I know.
That's all right. You can probably utilise this for the time being, and then when you come next week, you bring your own cup.
Yes, I will.
Okay, and during the week you use.
I misread what you bring the cup for.
Oh, right. Okay. Best mum ever. Oh, very nice too.
And I brought that because I couldn't differentiate.
Oh, okay.
This just reminds me of my background.
Okay.
Broken
so
Hill.
two
Sturt
cups.
Desert Pea.
Sturt Desert Pea.
My granddaughter bought me this special when my husband passed, and she said that I can always have a cup of tea, and it's got my first letter.
Remind you who you are. Yeah. Oh, very dainty.
This was given to me by my, not my godmother, but my godmother, who I met in the 1990s, who was a lovely, godly woman who helped bring me back. So it's my special one. And this is a gift from all, it's a set, it's a gift from all the family going over there through the years.
Okay. So all of the cups have a significance for us, and really that's the whole point of this exercise. The cup has to have a real significance in your life to make it worthwhile. Now, in terms of what we're going to be doing, just to I'll use the short version which is in here, just to guide me. When we look at Henry Nouwen's quote there. Every time you listen with great attentiveness to the voice that calls you the beloved, you will discover within yourself a desire to hear that voice longer and more deeply. As we start to look at our lives and the cup of our lives, we need to recognize that what we're doing is we're actually looking at our deepening relationship with God and in God's presence. So we're just utilizing the cup as a tool for us, so to speak. Within us we have seeds of faith which could be deeply embedded, and they could be right at the surface, or they could be buried beneath tons of trash, or they could be there in a very dry, desert-like environment. So there are always seeds of faith there somewhere deep within ourselves. And it is during the turmoil of our lives that we usually neglect those seeds of faith. We don't pay attention to them, we don't nurture them necessarily, and we don't really recognize that they may be lying buried then. When we do, we tend to latch on to a spiritual journey, and usually it's somebody like Julian of Norwich, or Francis, or Benedict, or what's his name from Loyola? Ignatius. And we tend to look at Ignatian spirituality, or Franciscan spirituality, or the spirituality that is associated with Julian of Norwich. The problem is that we cannot absolutely mirror that spirituality, because the spirituality is theirs. It's not ours. We may try and latch onto it and try and follow it as much as we can, but it isn't ours. We're trying to impose upon ourselves somebody else's own spirituality. We might take hints and we might take bits out of it, but to truly express the spirituality, we have to be Francis. We have to be Julian of Norwich. We may get an inkling of understanding from their writings and everything else, but we're not really on their journey, we're on our own journey. And so we need to understand that when we do that, we're actually suppressing our own spirituality, our own needs. And we might be neglecting our own spiritual seeds and our faith seeds, which need a different kind of nurturing, a different type of watering, a different type of fertilizer to what Julian or Ignatius is providing. And in order to do that, we need to examine ourselves. We need to see for ourselves what we are and accept us for ourselves. So in this part of this start of this week, and during this week, we're going to be looking at ourselves and accepting ourselves. And tonight, the cup that we're looking at is the cup of my life, my own life. So like the cup that you hold in your hands, each of us is different. And that applies to our own spirituality, as I say. And so we need to become familiar with the cup of our life. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do a couple of things. First of all, I'm going to go through the instructions which are written there for your reference. You can go back to them. The other thing is you need to have Isaiah 43 open, verses 1 to 7. But in actual fact, you don't need to read the whole of all of those verses. There are some things that we need to pick out from them. You will see, for example, verses 1 and 4. I have called you by name, you are mine. You are precious in my sight and honoured, and I love you. And towards the end of that verse it says, I created you. So those are the things that you need to remind yourselves as you pick out and go through that verse. Okay, so once I've gone through what you're actually going to do, what we're then going to do is verse 43, chapter 43, verses 1 to 7. Okay.
Is that a Bible over there? On the chair there?
I don't know. Is it?
I might have one. Is it? I think it was. I'll have a lens.
Just put it back.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fine.
Now that's
So, in order to contemplate, we just can't go straight into contemplation. Bang. We need to lead ourselves into contemplation. So we lead ourselves into contemplation with is what is called in the additional resources as the daily, the breath prayer. So you breathe in with the words, you breathe in with the words I am. So as you breathe in, I am.
I am.
And as you breathe out, a love song.
A what?
A love song.
Is that what you're saying?
I am a love song in your mind. As you breathe in, I am a love song. And just concentrate on your breathing rather than anything else. Then after I will then signal you to come out of that and into the actual contemplation. What you're going to do in the contemplation is basically to hold the cup in your hands. You notice its style, its shape, its colour, its size, everything that makes it the cup that it is. And then be conscious of yourself as a cup held in God's hands. So you become the cup, held in God's hands, and accept your uniqueness and your goodness as much as you accept the uniqueness and goodness of the cup you are holding. And then you thank God for creating you as you are. And that's the extent as you also look at that passage from Isaiah and maybe pick up a couple of the pointers, as I said, things like I have called you by my name. God has created me. God loves me. God knows me. And those themes continue to come out of that passage from Isaiah. All right. Do you understand what I've said?
Basically.
Basically? Happy? Sort of?
Once we get into the practice of it.
Once you get into the practice of it, you will find it flows easier. It is very difficult. Don't be worried about what anybody else is doing. It's only for you yourself. If you want to move across into the chapel or want to move to the back of the church, that's fine. That's entirely up to you. Or if you want to hide round behind the organ and do it right behind the organ, that's fine as well. With the teddy bears. Okay. So let us start. So get yourself into a comfortable position. Make sure you've got that Isaiah reading available to you. Okay, make sure you are comfortable. Can I pick something up?
That's all right. Thanks.
The 1 to 7. Okay. So make yourself seated so that you're comfortable, that you're relaxed. Okay. I would suggest that you actually close your eyes for the breathing prayer as you enter into that, so that you can slow yourself down and concentrate on that breathing and bring your mind to a reflective understanding of yourself.
What were those words again, please?
Those
I've
words
forgotten
again:
already.
I am, as you breathe in, and as you breathe out, a love song. Consider yourselves a love song to God. Okay, so let's begin. So as we begin, we breathe in, I am, breathe out, a love song. Breathe in, I am, breathe out, a love song. Breathe in, I am, breathe out, a love song.